These three Japanese foods could change your mornings forever. It's a 100-year-old breakfast trick that creates an invisible barrier in your gut, something most Western doctors never talk about. The third food on this list tastes terrible, but the science behind it is undeniable. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which three foods to eat, why they work, and how to implement them even if you live nowhere near Japan. And yes, I'll address the taste issue with that third food, because I promise you, it's worth getting past. Here's something that confused researchers for decades. Traditional Japanese people eat white rice every single morning. White rice, the exact food that Western nutritionists tell diabetics to avoid like the plague. High carb, high glycemic index, everything we've been taught will spike your blood sugar through the roof. And yet, they have remarkably stable blood sugar levels and significantly lower rates of type 2 diabetes. How is that possible? The answer isn't what you think. It's not genetics, it's not portion control, it's not some magical property of Japanese rice. It's about what they eat before the rice ever touches their lips. Think of your digestive system like a highway. When you eat sugar or carbs on an empty stomach, it's rush hour traffic. Everything moves too fast, everything crashes. Your blood sugar spikes, your pancreas panics, your insulin floods the system. And 2 hours later, you're exhausted and craving more sugar. But when you eat these three Japanese foods first, they act like traffic controllers. They slow everything down to a manageable pace. Same highway, same cars, completely different outcome. This isn't folklore. This isn't traditional wisdom that sounds nice but doesn't hold up under scrutiny. This comes from modern research on postprandial glucose response, what we call after-meal blood sugar spikes. And the best part? This isn't about expensive supplements or complicated meal plans. These are real foods that real people have been eating for generations. Before I reveal the three foods, you need to understand why this matters. What's happening in your body right now during a typical Western breakfast? You wake up, your body has already released cortisol, the stress hormone, which naturally raises your blood sugar even before you eat anything. Then you eat something sweet or carb-heavy, cereal, toast, a muffin, even healthy granola. Your blood sugar spikes dramatically within 30 minutes. Your pancreas detects this emergency and releases a flood of insulin to bring it back down. Within an hour or two, your blood sugar crashes. You feel foggy, tired, irritable, and you're craving more sugar to bring you back up. Here's the analogy that changed how I think about this. Think of your cells as locks and insulin as the key. When you constantly spike your blood sugar like this, those locks get rusty. This is called insulin resistance. The key still exists, your pancreas is still making insulin, but it doesn't work as well anymore. The locks are stuck. Over time, this cycle leads to chronic high blood sugar, pre-diabetes, and eventually type 2 diabetes. And here's what nobody tells you. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about discipline. This is about biology. Your body is responding exactly as it's designed to. The problem is that modern Western breakfasts work against your biology instead of with it. So let's fix that, starting with the first food. Natto is fermented soybeans, and I'm going to be honest with you right now. It looks weird, it smells strange, and it has a texture that many Westerners find absolutely off-putting. It's sticky, slimy. When you pick it up with chopsticks, it creates long, gooey strings. But here's why you should care anyway. Natto contains something called mucilage, natural slime made of water-soluble fibers. When you eat this before your rice or other carbs, it creates a physical gel-like coating in your digestive tract. Think of it like coating your stomach with a protective layer that slows down how fast sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream. People who track their blood sugar with continuous glucose monitors report something remarkable. When they eat natto before rice, their post-meal glucose spike is dramatically lower, sometimes 30 to 40% lower than when they eat the same rice without natto. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between a healthy response and a dangerous spike. But there's a second mechanism at work here. Natto is fermented by bacteria called Bacillus subtilis. This fermentation process creates bioactive peptides, tiny protein fragments that actually improve your cell's sensitivity to insulin. Remember the rusty lock analogy? Natto is like WD-40 for those locks. It makes your cells better at using the insulin you already have. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the taste. Japanese people often mix natto with soy sauce, mustard, or green onions to make it more palatable. Some people mix it with raw egg, and for those who absolutely can't handle it, frozen natto supplements exist, though fresh is ideal. Here's the practical reality. Natto is cheap. A pack of 3 servings costs about $2 to $3 in most Asian grocery stores. It keeps in the fridge for weeks, and it takes literally 30 seconds to prepare. Just open the package and stir. The second food might be more familiar, especially if you're from the southern United States. Okra. Okra has the same viscous, slimy property as natto, but with a milder taste. When you cook okra, or eat it raw in some Japanese preparations, it releases a thick, gel-like substance. This is the same water-soluble fiber principle at work. Imagine pouring honey into a glass of water versus pouring it into a glass of thick smoothie. The honey disperses much more slowly in the thick liquid, right? That's exactly what's happening in your digestive tract. The okra creates a thick environment that slows down the absorption of sugar from other foods. But here's where it gets interesting. The slimy, unusual texture of okra actually triggers fullness signals in your brain faster than regular vegetables. Your brain interprets the viscous texture as rich or substantial, which means you feel satisfied with less food overall. Japanese preparation methods are simple. Blanched okra with bonito flakes and soy sauce, okra miso soup, raw okra salad with sesame dressing, or simply microwaving frozen okra for 90 seconds. Frozen okra works just as well as fresh, making this accessible even in areas without great produce. A bag of frozen okra costs about $2 and can last for weeks. For those still skeptical about the texture, alternatives exist. Japanese yam, called nagayam, has the same properties, so does cooked seaweed, especially mekabu or mozuku varieties. The third food is miso soup. Specifically, a savory miso-based soup consumed at breakfast instead of coffee or juice. Think of this as a 1% swap, a minimal change with maximum impact. Instead of starting your day with something sweet, cereal, fruit juice, a latte with sugar, you start with something savory and fermented. Miso is fermented soybean paste made with koji mold. The fermentation process creates beneficial bacteria and enzymes that support your gut microbiome. And there's a growing body of research showing that gut health directly influences how your body processes glucose. But the real magic of miso soup at breakfast is the combination of benefits. It's warm liquid, which helps flush out cortisol-induced morning glucose spikes. It contains fermented ingredients that improve insulin sensitivity. It's savory and satisfying, which eliminates sugar cravings before they start. And it forces you to slow down and eat mindfully. You can't chug hot soup. Now, the common objection, isn't miso too salty for diabetics? Here's the truth. While miso does contain sodium, studies show that the fermentation process and the potassium-rich vegetables typically added to miso soup, like seaweed, tofu, green onions, actually offset the blood pressure impact. Additionally, the portion size is small, typically 1 tablespoon of miso paste per bowl. This is practical and accessible. Instant miso soup packets exist in almost every supermarket now. You can prepare a bowl in literally 60 seconds. Boil water, add the packet, and stir. For those who want to go further, homemade miso soup can be batch prepared and reheated throughout the week. But here's the psychological angle that matters most. Drinking miso soup for breakfast shifts your identity from "I'm on a diet" to "I'm someone who eats like healthy Japanese people do." This identity shift is much more sustainable than willpower-based restriction.
Let me tie this all together. How do these 3 foods work in your body? First, the viscous fiber principle. Natto, okra, and the ingredients in miso soup create a gel-like substance in your digestive tract. This physically slows down the absorption of glucose from other foods. It's not blocking sugar, it's just controlling the speed at which it enters your bloodstream. Think of it like this. Your body can handle sugar, it just can't handle too much too fast. These foods are traffic controllers, ensuring a steady, manageable flow instead of a dangerous rush. Second, the fermentation factor. Both natto and miso are fermented foods. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria that influence everything from your mood to your metabolism. Fermented foods introduce beneficial bacteria that help your body process glucose more efficiently. Think of them as hiring a better workforce for your internal factory. Third, the food order principle. Most diets tell you what not to eat. This approach tells you what to eat first. When you eat the viscous, fermented foods before your other breakfast items, you're creating a biological buffer. Same foods, different order, completely different metabolic response. There's also something called resistant starch at play here. When you eat these foods with rice, especially if the rice has been cooled and reheated, the rice becomes harder for your body to digest. Slower digestion means slower glucose absorption. It's the same rice, but your body treats it differently. Here's how to implement this starting tomorrow morning. I call this the simple Teishoku system, based on traditional Japanese meal structure. Step 1. Wake up and drink a glass of room temperature water. This prepares your digestive system. Step 2. Prepare your miso soup. If you're using instant packets, this takes 60 seconds. If you're making it from scratch, you've already batch prepared it, so you're just reheating. Step 3. While the soup is warming, prepare your natto or okra. Stir the natto with soy sauce and mustard, or microwave your frozen okra for 90 seconds. Step 4. Eat the miso soup first, slowly, mindfully. Let the warm liquid signal to your body that food is coming. Step 5. Eat the natto or okra. This creates the protective gel layer in your digestive tract. Step 6. Now eat whatever else you normally eat for breakfast. Rice, toast, eggs, fruit, whatever. But you've already created the biological buffer. Total time added to your morning routine? About 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes for potentially transformative blood sugar control. This isn't just about blood sugar. When you stabilize your glucose levels, everything else improves. Your energy becomes steady throughout the day. Your mental clarity sharpens. Your mood stabilizes. Your cravings disappear. Your sleep improves because you're not riding a blood sugar roller coaster all day. You're not fighting your biology anymore. You're working with it. And here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about perfection. Some mornings you'll forget. Some mornings you'll be rushed. Some mornings you'll decide you just want your regular breakfast. That's fine. This isn't a diet. This is a tool. Use it when it serves you. So, let's recap. 3 foods. Natto, the fermented soybean that creates a protective gel layer and improves insulin sensitivity. Okra, the viscous vegetable that slows glucose absorption and triggers early fullness signals. And miso soup, the savory fermented breakfast that supports your gut microbiome and eliminates morning sugar cravings. Eat them in this order, before your regular breakfast. That's it. That's the system. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 foods are you most willing to try, and which one sounds the most challenging? Drop a comment below. And if you've already tried any of these foods, tell us what you experienced.